never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Fine.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Sorry about the hiccup there, but it is a Friday, so happy Friday to everyone out there. And I know there are a lot of high school teams, including my high school, playing in a scrimmage game in their local area tonight. So it is officially football season, and these are not scrimmage games against yourself. They are scrimmage games against someone else. And as I do every year here on the channel, counting down the days to the beginning of college football season, I try my best to at least once a week preview some college football teams, the 2023 season, and give you my prediction on what I think they'll do in the upcoming season. And I have not done one this week, and it's a Friday, so I figured I better go ahead and do one this week. And the one I'm going to do this week is a team that we all hear so many things about, and it's a team that every year they're going to win the national championship. And I have seen this team slowly decline for about the last 3 years. As a matter of fact, I believe going into the 2021 season, I predicted they would have at least 2 losses. They ended up, I was wrong, they only had 1, but then last year they had 2. So I've seen the slow decline ever since 2021, but for some reason, because of their coach, nobody else wants to see it. And if you have not yet figured out who I'm talking about, I am talking about the team from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the one city that nobody ever wants to go to. If you've been there, you don't want to go back. If you have not been there, you don't want to go. There's absolutely nothing to do in that city. But we're talking about the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, last year, as I said, they lost 2 games, and they had arguably the best defensive player in the country. If not, he was top 5 in Will Anderson. And they had the guy that was drafted number 1 in the NFL draft at quarterback, Bryce Young. They went 10-2, but there was a couple of games that Bryce Young had to bail them out of. Otherwise, they would have easily gone 9-3 or 8-4. And this year, people are still saying they're a top 10 team. And I know it's because everybody loves Nick Saban, but I'm sorry, I just don't see it. If this team finishes top 10, then I will be absolutely stunned, because you're talking about a team that went 10-2 last year with Bryce Young and Will Anderson, and this year you don't have Bryce Young. As a matter of fact, we're still not sure who their quarterback's going to be, and you don't have Will Anderson. Nick Saban is getting older and older. He's not the coach he was 5 years ago. Their recruiting is slowly tailing off. So if they're a top 10 team this year, I'll be absolutely stunned, because I just don't see it. But let's run down their schedule, and then you tell me what you think they will do this year. They open up on September the 2nd against the Blue Raiders of Middle Tennessee State. On the 9th, they play the Texas Longhorns. On the 16th, the Bulls of South Florida. On the 23rd of September, they play Ole Miss. Then they wrap up the month of September on the 30th against the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. Opening up October on the 7th against the Texas A&M Aggies. On the 14th, they play Arkansas. And then on the 21st, they play Tennessee. And as always, as every year, they're off Halloween weekend on Saturday, October the 28th, because they open up November on the 4th against LSU, and both teams are always off the week before they play that game. Then on the 11th of November, they play Kentucky. On the 18th, they play Chattanooga. Then they wrap up the season Thanksgiving weekend on the 25th of November against their arch rival, the Auburn Tigers. Now, to me, when I look at their schedule, I just don't see any way they beat Texas. That was a barn burner last year, and in my personal opinion, Texas is better this year than they were last year, and Bama's not going to be as good. So I just don't see any way they beat Texas. And Jimbo Fisher every year plays his best game, and his team plays their best game against Alabama. So I think Texas A&M beats them again, and they play LSU, and to me, LSU is just better than they are. So I've got them losing to Texas A&M, and LSU. That puts them at 9-3. The only way they finish top 10 at 9-3 is if the voters say, well, it's still Alabama, and their 3 losses came to 3 good football teams, so we'll put them top 10. But 9-3 should not be a top 10 team. And it would not surprise me if between Ole Miss and Tennessee, if they lost one of those 2 games. So right now, I'll go 9-3, but don't be surprised if they go 8-4. But as I always say, if they win a game that I say they lose, but they lose a game that I say they win, don't come at me and say, you were wrong, they won that game, they lost that game. I'm saying 9-3. If they go 9-3 or 8-4, it doesn't matter how they got there. They were 9-3 or 8-4. But if they go anything better than 9-3, I'll be stunned. Supposedly, the Notre Dame quarterback that transferred there because he was not good enough to play at Notre Dame is going to be their starter. I seen Milroe play some last year. Milroe is very athletic. He'll make some great runs for you, and he'll make some good throws, but then he's going to throw some terrible, terrible passes and throw some bad interceptions. So Milroe will probably start the season as the quarterback, but don't be surprised if he loses his job by week 3 or 4 because he's going to be very, very inconsistent. So again, I've got Alabama going 9-3, maybe 8-4, as we continue to see the slow decline of Alabama football. And it's nothing that they did wrong. It's just Nick Saban's getting older and older. So it's getting harder and harder for him to be on the same page as kids that are young enough to be his great-grandkids. And also, every single year, he loses almost every one of his coaches. Because almost every year, his coaching staff leaves to go be a head coach somewhere, and eventually when you lose assistant coaches every year, there's going to come a point in time where the guys you find to replace them are just not as good as the guys that left. And it's nothing you can do about it. It's just every single assistant coach in America is not going to be great. So if you lose a great one, chances are eventually you're going to replace that great one with a good one. And then when you replace great assistant coaches with good assistant coaches, you slowly start to see your program go on the decline. And I think that's what we're seeing. I don't know how much longer Nick Saban will coach. He'll be 72 the week of Halloween, but he still looks phenomenal. He looks the same as he looked 20 years ago. But just because he looks the same doesn't mean he feels the same. If his life is coaching, he might coach until he's 80, because you don't want to see Nick Saban go down the same path as Bobby Bowden and Joe Paterno and Eddie Robinson and retire, and as soon as they retire, they fall over dead. So maybe coaching is what's keeping him in good shape. I don't know. But if you don't look up Nick Saban's bio and see that Nick Saban is 72, you'll never guess that Nick Saban is 72. So he looks phenomenal. I don't know how he feels, but he looks good. Any thoughts on this, please feel free to let me know. Homes for Our Troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfotusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What did the grape say when it was stepped on? Nothing. It just let out a little wine. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.